Muslims and Jews. You might say they're usually connected by opposition, by tension at least. But in the aftermath of the deadly Paris attacks, there have actually been some commonalities. The two groups have shared one common reaction, and that is anger about the way media outlets have portrayed them. So for more on this, let's bring in Ahmed Shihab Eldin. He's a former host at Al Jazeera and a Huffington Post live host as well. He now teaches at Columbia University. And in Washington, former presidential advisor Elliot Abrams. He's now a senior fellow for Middle Eastern Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations. Thank you both for being here.
It's great to be with you.
Hi. Elliot, I've read what you've written on the topic, and for you, it isn't what the press is covering so much as more what the press is not covering, what the press is not saying. You say France is in solidarity with journalists, but not with Jews. Tell me more.
Well, most of the coverage since the events of that Friday has been about Charlie Hebdo, and most of the activity in France, the Million Man March, has been about Charlie Hebdo. The journalists at Charlie Hebdo were very courageous, but they understood the risks they were taking. They did it knowing the risks. They had 2 police guards there full time. They'd been bombed already. The Jews who were killed didn't do anything. They were killed going shopping for the crime of being Jews. And once that day was over, I think the coverage by the press has been really 90% on the Charlie Hebdo story rather than on the story of those 4 victims.
Do you see that as something that has continued on for a long time? Is this something new?
Well, I think the press always likes to cover the press. This is a great, an enticing story for journalists to cover, very brave journalists. The deeper story of the condition of Jewish communities in Europe is probably less photogenic, and it's one that I think print journalism has done a better job on. But there has been still a great imbalance in the coverage of the Charlie Hebdo part and the part about the Jewish community there in Paris, which, as you know, is really afraid now even to walk in the street showing signs like a skullcap of being Jews. It seems to be dangerous.
Ahmed, let me turn to you here on set, because I was kind of amazed by something that happened yesterday on Fox News. 4 apologies in a row on various newscasts, all relating to negative content about Muslims, things that have been said on air that were negative, that portrayed Muslims in a negative light. And they were mostly focusing on this idea of no-go zones, that there are allegedly all these places in Europe that you can't travel to because they're ruled under Islamic law and they're too dangerous for non-Muslims. Well, that's generally not true, but we put together a highlight reel of all these mistakes. Let's take a look at that first.
We apologize for the error.
We apologize for that error.
We deeply regret the errors and apologize to any and all who may have taken offense, including the people of France and England.
We deeply regret these errors and apologize to the people of Birmingham, our viewers, and all who've been offended.
Now, I'm not trying to beat up Fox here. I respect that they apologize. I think that was the right thing to do. But I'm worried that all of this content on Fox about no-go zones plays into a narrative that portrays Muslims as the other, as somehow evil.
You know, Brian, that's the issue. We've seen Fox News suggest that there haven't been condemnations by Muslim leaders, or that there should be more by moderate, Muslims in the Arab world and the Muslim world, even here in America. And this is the problem. Muslims since 9/11 have been portrayed as the other, something to be feared, not just in mainstream news coverage, but even in entertainment. And I think this plays into exactly what the terrorists are trying to do, trying to show Islam as being in a perpetual clash with the Western world. And, when there are Christian terrorist attacks, or when, Buddhist extremists kill Muslims in Myanmar or Burma, we don't see these same condemnations or, this ritual of condemnation and expectation that Christians around the world should, speak up about this, or, speak out about this. And I think this all points to I think a perception issue, a distortion of the real threat versus the perceived threat that Islam actually places. As you must know, there was that statistic by Europol that was released earlier this week that showed in Europe, in the past 5 years, less than 2% of terrorist attacks were actually launched by, Muslims or any religious group for that matter, which means 98% were either separatists or, people on the other side of the political spectrum. And I think that this is an opportunity for the media to be responsible.
Does part of this relate, Elliot, to the use of the word terror, to the application of the word terrorist in certain times and not at other times? Do you feel that's something that affects coverage of attacks and of violence directed at Jews as well as Muslims?
Well, I think people are trying to turn away from the truth. One of the people is the president, who won't use the term Islamic terrorism. But I don't agree with what was just said. If you're a Jew in Amsterdam or Paris or Malmo, you do have a problem, and it's coming from the immigrant Muslim communities there. The attacks on Jews in Brussels, in Toulouse, in Paris have come from Muslims, and there's just no denying that.
But you know, in the same vein, you could say that, you know, there have been attacks on Muslims in recent days, dozens of attacks as a result of these attacks by groups that are xenophobic, that are, you know, Islamophobic. And that's why I think it's important when these types of incidents occur that the mainstream media not focus on the narrow kind of story of Islam as an inherently violent religion, but really look at how various groups, such as Marie Le Pen's Front National Party, are going to take advantage of this. Why did these two Algerian brothers actually do this? Was it about the cartoons, or, as they had expressed back in 2005 when one of the brothers was going to go to Iraq to wage jihad, was this about the cycle of violence since 9/11 that we've seen? Was this about revenge? He stated that it was the Abu Ghraib torture cartoons that actually motivated him to want to fight this jihad. There's an alienation, there's a vilification of Islam as well as Judaism. We see anti-Semitism on the rise, we see anti-Islam sentiment on the rise. So I think it's important to look at this in the context of France and in the context of Europe, not just in this kind of us versus them. You know, Islam is inherently against secular Western values.
Elliot, last word to you.
Well, I didn't say that, but what I am saying is that if you're a Jew living in Western Europe, the problem of violence you face is coming from Muslim communities. That's just a fact.
I need to take another quick break here, but I appreciate you both being here this morning and discussing this from different perspectives.